I'm a sucker when it comes to powder highlights. Y'all know that. Hey y'all, and y'all know what time it is. What time is it, you ask? It's time for another products I regret buying. Now, I feel like I did one of these not so long ago because with the way that I buy makeup, I try not to have to do these too often because I want to get things that actually work for me that I like and enjoy. And I've also been coming to terms with the whole, like, returning things that don't work for me, even though it pains me that if something is used and you return it, it gets trashed. But that is neither here nor there. If you have not seen my most recent one, that is not this one, I will leave it linked down below for y'all, but for right now, let's just talk about these things. There are a lot of highlighters. As now I've been decluttering my makeup collection, and as I've been decluttering, you know, things surface that you're like, you just don't make the cut. And these are those things. So I present to you, without further ado, another edition of products I regret buying for one reason or another. Alright, let's just kick it off with something that's like, Sarai, why did you buy that to begin with? You're stupid. And that is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder in Not Your Basic Witch. Now we know that Jeffree Star released his like Onyx Ice highlighter as a joke. It's basically a big giant pan of black eyeshadow, which is essentially what this is as well. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, looking at it, you know you ain't gonna use that as a highlighter. You buy it for the novelty, for the collector, for the spoopiness. I was like, okay, alright, well, I'll just, you know, use it as a single black eyeshadow. No. This thing is horrible. It has, like, not a lot of pigmentation, and the pigmentation it does have is patchy and dry, and it doesn't blend well. I've tried this with multiple looks, layering it over different eyeshadows, using different primers, and it just didn't work. This product was basically just not well thought through. They're like, we'll put some crappy black eyeshadow in there, throw some shimmer. That's another thing. It's got like shimmer, shine, glitter, whatever going through it. See that? You see that there? You see that shiny whatever? Does not translate at all when you're using it. You pick it up on a brush and you're like, well, that's matte. So this I know is, you know, my own fault going on here, but, you know, even if it wasn't my own fault, the product itself is just poop. Alright, let's just get the non-highlighter items out of here, and then we'll just go on a highlighter hating binge. The first thing is this Pure Hydro Fluid Water Serum Foundation. Now, I picked this up at Marshall's. It was only like, I think it was on sale for like $9. That should have told me something. And I was like, I like me a new foundation. I like me some Hydro Water Serum, not make this hair terribly dry patchiness. And so I picked it up and I gave it out a try. And when they say Hydro Fluid, I guess what they mean is like zero coverage. And I understand that more liquidy foundations, I mean, I can feel it moving around in there. I understand that more liquidy foundations tend to be less coverage, more light and whatever. But this deal here needs more than a light, no coverage foundation that is in the shade light but oxidizes to the shade Oompa Loompa. So you had the no coverage plus the shade, and it just didn't look good even with all of that caveat going on. It was only $9. I wanted to try it out. I've been on a foundation kick, and it just no, did not do it for me in any sort of way. Then a more expensive regret isn't necessarily that it's a bad product. Well, it kind of is, but subject to personal opinion, is the Too Faced Natural Love palette. Now, it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm not the biggest neutral fan, as we can obviously tell. But when this palette came out, a lot of people were like, oh, they're just re-promoting some of their older shades, and not sure how we feel about it. It's got that matte diffused with glitter that doesn't actually have glitter in it. And it's not even like the shade selection that bothers me. I mean, the inconsistent quality, that bothers me. But it's more like you look at this and you literally get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 mattes. And you guys know I have been converted to the matte family. Matte palettes are matte shadows are the backbone of any good palette. And the mattes in this palette that this palette has are like, they're nothing that's like, yes, those mattes are fantabulous. And then you're like dipping into the shimmers and you're like, well, they're okay. Like a lot of the shades I would want to be like that I'm drawn to, like Poodle, Pink Cheeks, Kittens, Cutie Patootie, Bunny Nose. They're like kind of there, but not really. I mean, Moonbeam's pretty, Honey Pot's pretty, Hot and Bothered is pretty, Honeymoon kind of falls under what these ones, Fairy Tale's pretty, but like, all in all, this was a $59 palette that had re-promoted shades, that had inconsistent quality, that is like 87% shimmer. And I just regret it because there could have been so many other things I could have got with like friggin' $59. Packaging is adorable. It's got a cute little bun bun, but cute little bun bun does not a good palette make. Alright, now let's talk about highlighters. First up is something that I have clung through declutter after declutter after declutter, and that is the Estee Edit highlighter side of their Gritty and Glow collection thing. Eyeshadow palette duo that was released, I want to say like 2 years ago? Maybe 3, I don't know. But you have it like this, and you're like, oh, those are pretty. For me, I could use 1, 2, 3, maybe, whatever, and I do my cute little mixing thing, so I guess those bronzy ones, whatever. You can use these as eyeshadows. I mean, any eyeshadow is highlighter, and any highlighter is eyeshadow. We don't have to come out and say it. But it's just kind of, I mean, there isn't anything phenomenal about the colors. I'm sure I have these in singles and other palettes. There isn't anything phenomenal about the formula. It's a thicker, more emollient formula, kind of like the Urban Decay Afterglow highlighters and the Jeffree Star Original Skin Frost highlighter formula, where they're just a little bit more chunky, not as effervescent, and I just look at this and I'm like, wow, you're kind of really pretty, but I don't use you, and I spent way too much money on you, and you're not cruelty-free, and now your brand doesn't even exist anymore. So it's just something that I look at, and I'm like, wow, for the money I spent on this and the other one, which is also decluttered, this is decluttered, I could have got something great. But I didn't, and now we're here. Alright, next is not a bad product regret, it's more like a, I don't use it, it's not my thing regret. Because these have a pretty good cult following on, I mean, just Sephora or wherever. They have a cult following within the community. And these are the Stila Heaven's Hue highlighters. I've got mine in Kitten, and then this one is Transcendence. But these are like weird, putty, jelly. I mean, I keep swatching them, and they're like kind of pretty, but they're like difficult to work with. You know, you gotta use a specific whatever. And it's not that they're bad. It's not that they're pretty. It's that I'm too lazy to deal with them. I'm like, I've got so many other highlighters that I could use. I'm not going to sit there and give myself a headache trying to use these. So I know a lot of people like them, and I know the formula for those who like know how to use it and it works well for them is pretty great, and they just released like 50 million more shades of this, and I'm like, I wish they'd come out with something that's a powder. I'm a sucker when it comes to powder highlights, y'all know that. And these, I'm just like, I could have gotten a powder highlight, I could have got something else. I mean, they were okay when I used them, they were in a favorites video, and now they just sit there because they're not selling on my Poshmark. Alright, then a newer regret. Did not take me long to realize this was like, not so good. Not necessarily not so good, more like, not so what I want. And these are two, well, I think the only two. The Winky Lux Powder Lights highlighters. We've got Charm, which is basically this friggin' little duochrome thing going on here. And then we have Celestial, which is just your basic champagne-y skin-toned gold. And the bottom line with these is simply that, like, you look at it and you swatch them and you're like, yeah, okay, they're kind of pretty, but kind of like the Stila. The effort that I have to put into these to get them looking like what's in the pan or what's on the swatch on my face just isn't worth the effort. I have plenty of less expensive and more expensive highlighters that do a better job, give me a better glow, in less work, one swipe, looking beautiful and highlighty. But I just really don't need the headache of working with these. Alright, and then these next ones, I think I've talked about these in a favorites and fails. And they may have been previous products I regret buying. I'm not sure. All the bad makeup just kind of melts together into one nasty, sad, depressing feeling. But these are the NYX Born to Glow Illuminators. And now these, kind of like the Winky Lux, aren't bad, quote unquote. They're just kind of meh. And especially considering the fact that they're like a drugstore highlighter that costs $10 and you're getting a fair amount of product, but that's like putting these two together, that's 20 bucks. And I'm like, I got Makeup Revolution, I got JCat, I got Wet n Wild, I got plenty of other ones that are less expensive, that perform better, and the second verse is same as the first. I just, you know, they're a lot of work. They're a very thick, difficult to work with formula, doesn't pick up well on a brush. You're sitting there and you're slathering and you're slathering and you're slathering. You're like, okay, I guess it's kind of there, but not really there. I've heard really good things about these, and I love finding highlighters from the drugstore that are inexpensive and amazing, but these were not them. Then ending on kind of, once again, not that it's a bad product, it's just compared to other things, it is bad, I guess. This is the Pacifica Ice Baby Mineral Highlighter. Now, I appreciate Pacifica. They're 100% vegan and cruelty-free, which I'm all about that life. And you look at it and you're like, kind of looks like Becca's Pearl going on here. And you feel it and you're like, oh, that smells nice. And then you put it on there and it's like kind of a faint, hinty, pinky duochrome thing going on. But there isn't anything amazing about the formula. I have less expensive. This isn't too expensive. I think it's like $13. But my duochrome highlighters from Ulta, my duochrome highlighters from Makeup Revolution, do a better job than this does, and they're less expensive. Even my duo highlighters from e.l.f., those like split pan duos, are better than this. So this just didn't do anything to wow me. I never reached for it because I've got, you know, other ones obviously that perform horrendously better, and this one's just kind of sitting there like, eh. Alright, that's gonna be it for this round of disappointing products I regret buying, because who doesn't love a little regret every once in a while? Obviously, if these are things that you love, take no offense. This is all done in good fun. I'm simply talking about my experience with them. We all have different needs, skin tones, skin types, yada yada yada. We honestly shouldn't have to say this, but in the world of the internet, everyone likes to get butt hurt. But for those of you who are here for a good time, definitely let me know what you think about these. If you have them, you love them, if you agree with me or whatever, let me know a product that you regret buying. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!